Greetings, everyone. My name is Alan. Welcome back to Standing Wave. Today, we're going to do a bit of a continuance of our XTL programming series, specifically the 2500. We're going to do some scanning, and we're going to show you how to set up your scan list with some neat features. We won't go into the trunking stuff because, well, we don't really deal with trunking in amateur radio, so we're not going to talk about it. You can get into really deep stuff with trunking and all sorts of fun stuff. So we're going to stick to what 99% of the hams out there are going to want to do with scanning. So as you can see, I have the radio down in your lower right. We will not be doing any writing to the radio or reading from it because I'm going to assume you've seen the first couple of videos and know how to do that safely. Okay? Remember, always save your code plug. First thing you do, you fire up your radio, you get it connected, you read it off, and you save it, okay? Rename it something else. That way, if you make a mistake, you can go back to it. Okay. Now, let's get started. So, we're going to come over here to our tree of fun, the tree view here. Okay, first thing you want to do is you want to go to radio configuration. Let's expand that. We're going to want to find display and menu. Let's double click that, drag it over here. Menu items. Got to make sure you've got scan here under selective items. It will originally, if you don't have it here, look for it under available items, select it, and then click add, and that will shove it over here to your selective items. Now remember, this list over here in selective items correlates to left to right for your soft key button assignments. So the soft keys, as a reminder, boys and girls, is the 5 buttons with the green dots in them underneath your display and your control head. The function for said buttons is displayed on the display just directly above them. And they're called soft buttons because that functionality can change based on what zone you're in. So we've got our scan selected. It's in selective items. One thing you may run into, which brings us to our next section that we need to go into, which is conventional personality. Open up your personality in question. We're going to use personality number 1. We're going to find the scan tab up here. Now, if you've added your scan to your selective items in display and menu, and you load your code plug into your radio, and much to your chagrin, when the radio comes back up, there's no scan button, no scan soft button there. Well, you programmed it. Why is it not there? So come in here to your conventional personality and look at this automatic scan. If all of your personalities that you have programmed have this box checked, your scan button will not show up because it assumes that you want automatic scanning. Why do you need a button? So just go ahead and uncheck that. Well, the other thing we can do is we can right click on this, and you can see it asks us, what's this? So we can click on that. We're going to get a little pop-up. It gives you an explanation here. It says, causes the radio to automatically enter the scan mode when the radio user selects with the channel selector the current conventional personality. Auto scan is also invoked when the radio is powered on to the current channel. When disabled, the radio user is able to invoke scan mode operation through a programmable scan button press, in quotes, scan menu selection, while operating on the current conventional personality. If you want more information on this, you can click more information, and your little box over here disappears. We'll switch to the left screen, and you can see up here, automatic scan. This window has popped up. And it tells us the same thing here because that's pretty self-explanatory. Sometimes you can get a bit more explanation over here than you did on the other one. Okay, so we're still in the scan tab over here in our conventional personality. we want to make sure our scan list is selected to the list that we want to use. Now you can see there's 4 options. There's none, and 1, 2, and 3. Now why 3? So let's proceed back over to our tree view. We're going to go to our scan section here. We're going to expand upon this. We're going to see our scan list. We're going to expand upon that. And you see I have 3 lists. So you can assign a list on a per personality basis. And as we know from our previous programming video, you can change personality on a channel basis. So this gives you a whole metric shed load of options for scanning fun. So right now I have scan list 1 selected. Okay, so I think we're about wrapped up in this section here. Let's go down to our scan list. Or before we go to our scan list, go to scanning configuration. Okay, we bring up scanning configuration. Okay, so this first one, nuisance mode delete. What this is for is, let's say you have a channel in your scan list that you don't have a PL tone on, and every once in a while you're getting some interference that's causing the squelch to open up, and your radio lands on that scan channel. And so the phrase landed, this is what Motorola uses to describe the channel that the scanning has stopped on. So if you've got a channel in your scan list and that channel goes active, i.e. somebody's talking on it, the scan will land on that channel and the radio squelch will open. So when you see the word landed, that's what we're talking about. The scanning has stopped on that channel. So let's say you've got a channel that doesn't use a PL tone, you're getting some interference, and the scanning keeps landing on that channel when there's nothing there, it's just interference. You can go ahead and select nuisance mode delete. Now when you select nuisance mode delete, you're going to come up to your available menu items, and you're going to see NUIS. Now it's important to remember, when you're setting up your display and menu, if you don't have this nuisance mode delete selected in any of your, well, if you don't have it selected here in scan configuration, this menu item doesn't show up. For instance, if I uncheck that, you see NUIS has disappeared. Okay, it doesn't even give you the option because you don't have it selected. So if I go ahead and recheck that nuisance mode delete, I would come back up here, find my NUIS, and then I would just click add to add it to my selected items. So what this will allow me to do is if this thing keeps landing on that, I would rotate my channel knob to that channel, and then I would push that nuisance delete button. Okay, it's going to temporarily remove that channel from the scan list. Matter of fact, let's do the what's this. Let's read what it has to say. It says allows the radio user to temporarily remove a scan list member channel that it continuously generates unwanted carrier noise from the current active scan. This feature applies for all scan lists. This is accomplished by the radio user with a programmable DEL button press or a NUIS button selection while in the landed scan mode, and while landed on the scan list member to be removed. This feature applies to all scan list types. So basically what they're saying is you have to be on that channel to apply that. I would rotate your channel knob to it and then do it, because a lot of times you know, depending what your hang time is set to, you know, how long does the radio wait on the scanned channel, the landed channel. So that can be fun, and it's temporary, right? So you can either go back to that channel, push the button again to add it back, or I think on a power cycle it'll come back too. Okay, priority scan alert. So when you set up, you can set up 2 priority channels, priority 1, priority 2. And when you're scanning, and this, keep in mind that priority channel can be in any zone. or any scan list. If something lands on that channel, it's going to give you a tone and it's going to switch to that channel. So any zone, any personality, or personality, any zone, any scan list. I take that back. It might not be every scan list, but certainly every zone. So as we'll see here. So that's nice. At the bottom, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Hub suspend scan. Hub is hang up box, basically your hook switch, the little clip that you hang your microphone on. Basically, it's looking for that to be shorted together with the metal clip. So what you can have that do is when your microphone is hung up, the unit is scanning, but when you pick your microphone up out of that hook switch, the scan stops. Is that a useful feature or not? Maybe. You may like that, I guess. And I don't recall if you have to have that. If you have to have that bracket grounded, you might have to have it grounded. I've never used this. I never set this up because most people don't want to do it. Plus, if you just turn up your hang time down here, it really doesn't matter. So, speaking of that, voice RX hold time in seconds. I have this set to 10. So what this means is, when your radio is scanning, and it lands on a channel, it's going to wait for 10 seconds. So that's what it's going to do. It's going to wait for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, if nothing else is heard or you haven't talked back on that channel, which you can set up, it's going to resume the scan. So let's read just that. The same thing for your data, if you're doing data, but we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so let's move over to the conventional tab. Carrier detect required. So let's do what's this. Enables the radio to land on carrier squelch, but to only unmute on priority scan list members or on properly PL tone code detect. So basically what this means is, let's say you've got a channel in your scan list that does not have a PL tone. And there's a carrier there. The radio will land on it, but it will not open the squelch because there's no PL tone or any other form of carrier detect. This applies to P25 too. If you don't have the NAT code, or sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's priority channel marking. Carrier detect is looking for specifically the PL tone. So if you have a PL tone assigned to your channel, and it lands on that channel and it detects the PL tone, then your squelch will open. So if someone else is transmitting who on that same channel, but they're not using a PL tone, your radio will land on it, but it won't open the squelch. So it's your typical PL tone operation. It's just in a scan mode, effectively. Priority channel marking. What's this? Enhances priority channel scan performance by causing unqualified priority scan list transmissions to be marked and temporarily removed from the scan list. Such as an analog priority channel is marked when it is unsuccessfully scanned due to no PL tone code where a PL tone was expected or where the PL tone was incorrect. A digital Astro system priority channel is marked when it is unsuccessfully scanned due to no NAT code or the NAT code was unexpected and was incorrect. Let's see. Continuing on, note analog and digital are determined by the RX type field in your channel. Once PTT is pressed or when the scan finds that carrier has dropped on a marked priority channel or the proper PL/network access code is detected on the marked channel, then the marked status is removed and the priority channel and normal priority scanning is resumed. This feature applies only to conventional dispatch list members or conventional dispatch scan list members. So you may want to use this or not. If you have a lot of interference issues, this may be useful. But realistically, if you've got your PL tone set up, you shouldn't have to worry about this. Okay. So we've got this part covered. As I said, there's nothing to do in trunking. Time between priority samples. I have this one set to 550 milliseconds. You can reduce that if you want. It makes the scan pick up a bit. It's a bit more responsive, a bit snappier. I find 550 is a nice round number. You don't want to go too long, otherwise you might miss some of the transmission. But going too short can also be a problem because remember, we're scanning priority channels. So what's going to happen in the background when your radio is scanning through, let's say a list of, let's say you got 6 channels in your scan list. In between each channel, it's going to go back and check to see if something's happened on the priority. And you don't want it going back and forth a long time because it's going to slow down your scan. So I find 550 milliseconds is appropriate. Okay, so we've got this stuff squared away. Let's go ahead and close these. Let's move on to the scan lists themselves. Let's open up scan list number 1. That's what we're going to focus on currently. Let's embiggen this. I guess it doesn't matter because that's as big as it gets. That'll get bigger when we open the channels up. Okay, scan type, conventional. Let's do a what's this because we've got some options here. There's a train in the background. I don't know if you can hear it. Okay, selects the type of scan list member channels that can be selected for the current scan list. These conventional or trunking, or both, scan list member channels are then scanned for qualified transmission activity when the radio is operating in scan mode. This, I think, deserves some further explanation. We'll go to more information. Let's go to the other screen. Okay. So the definition, I think we've already read that. Important note, scan types that allow trunking dispatch scan members. Okay, that's trunking. We don't need to worry about that. Selections. Okay. What does each selection do? So in conventional, only conventional dispatch channels may be selected. Note 15 scan list members are possible. That's true. We'll see that here in a second. Priority monitor. Only trunking dispatch channels may be selected. A trunking system must be selected for the current scan list from the record member field. Okay, it's trunking. We don't need to worry about that. Talk group, both conventional and trunking. Okay, we don't need to worry about that. Voting scan only. Only conventional dispatch channels may be selected when in a voting scan system. Several repeaters rebroadcasting the same transmission simultaneously on different frequencies. The radio is then able to select the strongest, clearest signal. The RSSI voting threshold setting defines when the best signal is strong enough for the radio to unmute. If no voting scan list member exceeds the threshold, then the scan with the highest RSSI value will be selected for unmuting. Note, 10 scan list members are possible. So this is something that I use on my system because I have a system set up in my area that utilizes multiple repeaters on the same frequency, and it works extremely effective. But for this demonstration, we will stick to conventional. Okay, so we're back over here in our scan list. We have scan type conventional selected. We see our trunking system has grayed out. Goodbye trunking, we don't need you. Okay, priority assignment. We see a checkbox for dynamic priority. This is kind of neat. So basically what this means is if you have this box selected, you are given the ability to add a soft button to your control head that will allow you to change your priority number 2 channel from the control head, and it will remain that way until you change it again. So your priority 1 channel is going to be fixed. I don't think you can okay, let's not get over our head out. So let's just stick to the dynamic priority. If you select this box you're going to see priority 2 is grayed out because that's now going to be a soft button. So you're going to select that from your control head. I don't want that. I want this fixed for this purposes. So the type is fixed for both of these. The member is the line number in your scan list. So remember, we're using scan list number 1. If we come over to our line items, number 1 is the unsecure repeater. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. These are our line items, line item members. Okay, that's what that is. Okay. So, if we change this to selected channel, it means whatever the channel knob is at the time when you engage the scan mode, that's going to be your priority channel. Okay. I don't particularly like that because it means you open yourself up to the possibility of the wrong priority channel being selected. So I just leave it with fixed. Operator select means just that. The operator gets to then select what channel they want to be priority, and while remaining on a different channel. I leave it as fixed. Don't give the operator the option. This is the channel that I want you to have as priority, right? So typically you would have this like if you're doing a Skywarn, right? You're going to leave this priority 1 channel to whatever the repeater the net controls on, right? That way you can switch to a different simplex or whatever, you know, if you're out chasing with other members or whatnot. You can be on a simplex channel, but when something comes over, this priority number 1 channel, the radio is automatically going to switch to this one. You can even set this up with the VIP port on your control heads, where it'll flash the light touch or honk the horn or something like that when something comes over, like if you're not in a vehicle. But that's a more uber advanced, and I don't know if we'll get into that. Maybe we will in later videos, but it is a possibility. It's a pain in the butt, but it's a possibility. Okay. Non-priority members, it's fixed. Just leave it as fixed. It's just a bit more granular way. Matter of fact, let's just do the what's this. Selects the status of a priority scan list member channel. Selects if the status of a priority scan list member channel can be changed by the radio user to a non-priority status. This feature applies for the current scan list. So yeah, just leave it as fixed. Designated voice TX member. Okay. If you have this set to talkback, what this means is during that 10-second hang time, remember when we in scan configuration, our voice RX hold time is 10 seconds. Within that 10 seconds, if you push your PTT, you're going to transmit on the channel that the scan landed on. If you wait beyond that and the scan continues, you're going to transmit on whatever channel you have selected with your channel knob. Okay. So long as you're within that 10 seconds or that whatever time you have set here, as long as you're within that time, you can transmit back on the landed channel. And we'll see that here in our demonstration here in a second. So what are your other options? Well, you can change it to select a channel, which just means whenever you push the PTT button, whether or not you've landed on a scan channel, it's always going to revert back to whatever channel your channel knob is set at. Or you can manually select a channel by your line item here. So whenever you push the PTT, regardless of regardless of where the channel knob is, and regardless of what channel the scan landed on, it's going to transmit on this channel in scan mode for this scan list, mind you. So unless you want to be, if you want to be a soup Nazi about it, I guess you could use this and select the channel you want. It might be useful in some cases. I don't know. I just leave it on talkback, and I just extend my RX hold time. Gives the operator time to look down what channel transmitted. That way they know if should I talk back to it or not. Okay. If you have in your scan list a receive only channel, which is possible, you can do that. and you have talkback selected. If you're within that 10-second hold time, and for whatever reason the operator doesn't look down, doesn't see what he's on, he wants to talk back on it, if he pushes that PTT button, since he's in a receive only personality, he's going to get the low tone, a single low tone beep to advise him that the transmission is not possible, and it won't allow him to transmit, or her, whatever. God, almost what a faux pas that was. You got to say him or her. So anyway, moving on. So talkback, that's what that's for. Okay. We don't need to worry about that because we're not on the data. We've moved on to our list. Let's go ahead and close this box. Okay, you are allowed 15 items per scan list. To some that might seem like a bit of a problem. I don't know why people have to feel the need to scan 100,000 channels, because that takes a lot of time to cycle back to the, to make the loop through all the channels. Keep your scan yes. Keep your scan list as short as possible. All right. This is going to speed up your cycle time. You're less likely to miss a transmission this way. You don't need to scan every FRS channel. You don't need to scan every GMRS channel. You don't need to scan every square inch of the UHF spectrum or VHF spectrum, whatever you're on. Okay. Pick your main channels that you're most concerned with. Like if you're doing Skywarn, you might want to pick your net control station, whatever repeater that is, set that as your priority. And you may want 2 or 3, maybe you want 1 or 2 simplex channels that you and your fellow spotters are on to talk to. You may want to have a couple, maybe you want another repeater in there as well. Okay, so I try to keep it to 5 or less, right? In this case, we've got 7. This is for a demonstration. Like I said, you can go up to 15. The cycle is pretty quick on the XTLs. Bear in mind though, if you have your priority channel set up, this is going to slow that loop down even further. So that's why I say keep your list abbreviated to improve your scan performance. Unless you want to go with like the Harris M7100, the scan feature on those is just screaming fast. So those are pretty neat. Maybe I'll do a series on the M7100. Those are cool radios. Anyway, we have our scan list here. You can see I have the zone, and you can see that I have 2 different zones in one scan list. You can have 15 different zones if you want, and the channel per each. So you can see here I've got 2 channels from my main zone, and then I've got 5 channels from this YouTube zone. Okay. So, and that's just to illustrate, my priority channel operation and some of the stuff we can do with that. So that's the scan list. So that's really it in a nutshell. That's the scanning operation. We're now ready to save this, write this to the radio, and be prepared to enjoy. I think now we are ready to proceed over to the radio and observe what happens here. So let's see here. Let me get the right scene up here. Which one do I want? Okay, I want this one. So, howdy folks. This is Alan, or rather, Fix It and Editing Alan. So I got some comments that I didn't have any audio in the last bit of this video, so I'm just going to do a voiceover on this. So basically what we're seeing here is we're looking at the front of the XTL, at least the control head anyway. And basically I'm just showing real quick that how you change the color on the display. You can select it through red, amber, or green. And one of the little features that I like about this radio, as you'll see, because I put the microphone like right in front of the camera, Is that if you have the DTMF microphone for this, it's also backlit, and it will match the color of the color you have selected, which is pretty neat. So as you can see, there's the microphone right smack in the middle of the camera there, and we just start cycling through the colors, and it matches. It's the little things that I like about this thing. So anyway, that's that. So what you'll see here, and basically this is a demonstration of the scanning features, but on the display, what you'll notice is on the upper left there's like a little speaker icon. That just means that the current channel is being monitored. The Z to the next to that it says that your scanning is on or off. You see I just turned scan off, and now the Z is gone. I turn scan back on, the Z is back. The one next to it is your repeater defeat, or talk around, or whatever you like to call it. So when you see that icon, that means that you are in repeater defeat mode. So you have to turn that off if you want to use repeater mode. And this depends on how you have your channel set up in CPS. You can see as I scroll through different zones, because I have the buttons set up on the DTMF mic to scroll through my zones. You can see these icons come and go based on what channel is selected and the features that I have set up. The little L that you see up there denotes low power mode, and you can set your high and low power wattage outputs in CPS. So I currently have this in low power mode. You see my soft button there at the bottom is set DIR for direct mode, or repeater defeat, or talk around, where do you want to call it. So right now it is in talk around or repeater defeat. If I were to push that button again, that icon would go away, and then we're in repeater mode. You see there's the button, repeater mode, and I see the icon is now gone. It's important to note that if on soft buttons, if you have more than fit at the bottom, you can use your four-way button over there to the right to scroll through them. Same thing on the microphone, you can scroll through them. You see I adjusted the squelch there. There's the power button, high power, low power. You can see the L comes and goes. Oh, let's see. I don't know if you can hear the air conditioners running in the background. Hopefully that's not a problem, but it's hot outside. So, all right, we're scrolling through the zones again. And as usual, the zone is the upper text where it says YouTube, and then below that will be your channel number. I feel like I should have some cheesy elevator music going right now. So you can see channel 2 lit up. The amber light on the right means that was a received channel. So right now we're scanning. Somebody in channel 2 keys up. You get your amber light. The squelch opens on channel 2. You can see it opens up on channel 2. But we're monitoring channel 1. Now I have talkback set up, so you can see I'm talking back. When the red light comes on, that means the XTL is transmitting, and I can talk back and forth to this person on channel 2 just fine, so long as I wait, or so long as I don't wait for that 10-second timeout timer. And like I showed during programming, that can be set. See, right now it switched back to channel 1. It's now scanning again. And if I were to transmit now, I would transmit on channel 1. So, like I said, okay, so we see it. We've landed on unsecure repeater. The Z up there, a 1 dot is flashing behind it. That means this is priority channel number 1. If there are 2 dots, that means that's priority channel number 2. Okay. Now, the same thing applies. I have the talkback set up, so if I were to key up the Motorola, within 10 seconds I can talk back on that channel, whatever channel that the radio landed on, and you see unsecure repeater came up again. This is priority number 1 channel. Basically, what I'm demonstrating here is it does not matter if you've landed on another channel. As soon as there is an opening and priority channel number 1 is transmitting, you will immediately switch to channel number your priority number 1 channel. Even if priority number one channel is in a different zone entirely, so long as it's in your scan list and it's set to priority number one, if anything transmits on channel, your priority channel number one, your scan will land on it regardless of where you're at. Okay? And it's nearly immediate. One of the questions I had was, why do we limit so many, why do we limit to 16 channels in your scan list? And this is part of that reason. We don't want the scan list to be too long. The longer we make it, the longer it takes to cycle through that list. So you keep it brief. Faster the cycle happens, the more likely you are to hear all of the transmission instead of part of it. Okay. The next thing is this radio is built for public safety, right? So there aren't going to be a lot of channels in your scan list to begin with, because you're really only going to be operating on a handful of channels to begin with. You may have a lot of channels in your radio, but you're really only operating on a handful of them, so those will be in your scan list. Let's see, what am I doing now? I wish I would have been paying attention. I wish I would have been paying attention. Oh my goodness, words are hard. And noticed that I didn't have any audio on this. I wouldn't have to do a silly voiceover, but what else? I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm sitting here. I'm probably rambling on about everything I've just told you. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll put in some sad music right now. Boy. Fascinating. But I guess the point is, the scanning feature on this radio in particular is extremely fast, especially if you have your priority channels configured correctly. You're typically not going to miss anything if those are your important channels. Like I said, like if you're doing a Skywarn activation, you'll probably want to put like the Skywarn net control station as your priority number one, and then maybe a priority number two you might have set to like a team lead or something when you're out in the field or whatever, and then the rest in your scan list can be individual spotters out there. Like I said, you can have as many scan lists as you want, so you can have up to 16 channels per scan list, but you can have as many scan lists as you want. I think there actually is a limit, but I don't. It's something ridiculous number, so effectively it doesn't matter. You really shouldn't be having that many channels in your radio anyway, I guess. You want to keep your channel count, as low as practical. I mean, you want to have everything in there that you're going to use, but I mean, realistically, keep the stuff in there that you're going to use on like a not so much a daily basis, but at least like a monthly basis, right? You don't want to have a list that's too cluttered, or you don't want to be scrolling through channels for 5 minutes to find the channel you want, etc. I mean, set up different zones, that way you can just switch zone and go to the less frequently used channels and stuff like that. Have your main zone for the stuff that you use absolutely every day. And then have your scan list set to the channels that you use absolutely every day, and you're gonna be good to go. You're gonna be happy with the way this thing performs. You really will. All right, that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Sorry about the mix-up. Catch you next time. N0ZFG out.